So I was recently on a client call where I was speaking to one of my clients and just basically going over the targeting that they're using for their Facebook ad campaign. And I could see that they were making a few mistakes regarding who they were targeting. And this is a mistake that I see very common with a lot of brands, usually between the 5 to 50K a month mark, where they go ahead and apply these certain things, which actually hinders their scalability, their ROI, and their overall performance. So in this video, I'm going to go over in detail about what this brand particularly did that you can learn from and not make the same mistake, and pretty much just show you what you should be doing and how you can get the most out of your campaigns. And as I'll be showcasing pretty much real life data and what's actually working in the account, then I obviously have to make sure that I'm not showing any brand's identity. So I've gone ahead and created a dummy account, but it's pretty much the same as what they were implementing for their brand. So let's jump into the Ads Manager and I'll show you how they were setting up their campaigns. So here we have the campaigns that I've set up, as this is a dummy account, and it contains the same ad sets and the campaign structure that this brand particularly had, where they were making mistakes with the targeting. So I've gone ahead and created two campaigns, which is very similar to that, or pretty much the same as what they were running in their own account and with the brand. And I'll just go over the mistakes, but you can see here that they have a cold manual campaign and they had a warm manual campaign. Essentially, these two campaigns are separate from each other, which is good. And obviously, cold campaign will target people who have never heard of the brand before, and then warm will actually target people who have heard of the brand before, but they had not visited the website usually, or they had not taken actions on the site. So to start off with, I'll just start with the cold campaign. So in this particular campaign, they had ad set where they were essentially running it at $50 a day. Now, you can run this at whatever budget you like. Usually you want to run it at least $20 a day so that Meta can learn from the ads that you're running, because if you give it too low of a budget, it means that they're not going to be able to gain learning. It's not be able to gain enough data to make accurate decisions on who to target and get the best conversions for your brand and the offer that you're promoting. So this is what they did, which is good. In terms of the locations, you can see here that they're actually targeting the United States in particular, but in this case, they're targeting these different cities, right? So they're targeting Alaska, Texas, Kansas, California, all these different states and cities combined. And I highly don't recommend this, because what you're actually doing is you're limiting pretty much who you're targeting, because when you want to reach out to a particular type of customer, you want to be targeting broad because you don't know where that customer is, right? And for context, this brand is actually in the jewelry space. So they have jewelry brand where they have jewelry products which they're trying to promote in the United States. So that's more or less the background this brand is coming from. But this will also apply to your e-commerce brand as well. So this brand is an e-com brand. They had physical products and they're trying to promote it to their target market. But so when you're having an e-com brand, whether that's health, beauty, fashion, jewelry space, or supplements, home decor, so on and so forth, you because you can actually pretty much ship it to any part of the country, then you really want to go ahead and focus on targeting the United States as a whole instead of just states, because that's pretty much just limiting yourself. So that's what you want to do. You want to go ahead and target the United States. So that is what I highly recommend you do. And whether you're in a different country as well, whether you're France, Italy, United Kingdom, Canada, Australia, so on, you want to be targeting broad as well. This entire country. You don't need to go down narrow it down into states or cities. And in terms of the age, this jewelry brand, was targeting 18 to 24. Now, for this age range, is quite narrow. I highly recommend that you go ahead and broaden this out as well. The reason that I say that is because you need to give Meta algorithm as much freedom as possible to find your customers. And when you don't do that, what you're doing is you're suffocating their ability to learn on who your customers are, and this can increase your cost of purchase and lower your ROI and limit your scalability, because it's only able to reach out to so many people who are between the ages of 18 to 24. So in this case, you pretty much want to broaden this out. Now, for jewelry brands, I would say you want to broaden this out to 45. So 18 to 45 is a good place to start. And then once you get data in, then you can go ahead and analyze that data, and then you'll be able to see exactly who is buying your product and is investing in your brand. And then later on, if you need to, you can potentially narrow it down, but I still believe that you should just continue to have it broad. And in terms of the gender, they were targeting men in this case. And usually, if you're not too gender specific with your brand, then I highly recommend that you choose all. In this case, this brand was not gender specific, right? They had some female products in there and unisex products. So they would benefit from targeting all genders. And when you do this, you allow the meta algorithm to find the people who are actually interested in male and female. And when you just narrow it down to just one gender, you're missing out on more revenue that you could get from the other gender who may be buying it for their friends or spouse, so on and so forth, right? So as a gift, essentially. So you definitely want to give it some leeway in that regard as well. In terms of the targeting itself, so in this case, they use interest, and this can essentially be good if you're not having a lot of data in the account. Maybe your pixel doesn't have a lot of data, or maybe you have a very niche product. But I would say that it would be a good idea to try and test broader as well, because when you do that, you're going to reach more people for a lower cost, and you're essentially going to get more learnings from that as well, compared to if you narrow it down quite a lot. And we can see here that the estimated audience size is 66 million to 78 million. Now that's a good size for sure. I just still think that you want to go ahead and try broad and really give it a shot at trying to find your customers without any constraints. And if that doesn't work for you, then you can go ahead and narrow it down. But I feel that you'll be able to get better learning from doing broad targeting. But let's say, for example, this brand wanted to do interest targeting, then this would be fine. So they're targeting Pandora, for example, because they're a jewelry brand. They have bracelets, Cartier, so on and so forth, jewelry as well. And these are decent interests to be running. Sometimes you probably don't need the watches, because if you're not promoting watches. So I would go ahead and remove this, because you're going to be targeting people into watches who are not necessarily into jewelry, but there can be some overlap there. But in this case, we can go ahead and have the jewelry interest here. And in terms of the placements, we can see that they are targeting manual placement, which means that they're only targeting, in this case, the Facebook feed and the Instagram feed. Now, I would not advise you do that. I would advise that you go ahead and target automatic placements, which means you target all of the placements and on everywhere, and give Facebook the freedom to go ahead and find your target customer in all wherever they may be, right? Because you don't want to constrain Facebook, like I said. So that's the cold manual campaign. And if we look at the warm manual campaign, we'll go ahead and take a look at that. But before we do that, I just wanted to quickly talk about my consulting one-on-one program, where I can work with you one-on-one and essentially get you to your target revenues by sort of seeing what's working with your brand, what isn't working, try and revamp things that isn't working, and then get your meta ads on point, like we have with many brands that you have seen in my Instagram story highlights, which you can see view in the description. But what you can do, if you feel like you're a good fit and you're above 5K per month and you're struggling with ads, or you want to try and scale it now and you have a decent budget to do that, then DM me on Instagram. Again, the link is just in the description, and we will chat via the DM and we'll see if you're a good fit. As we can see here in the warm targeting ad set, we can see that we are now targeting people who have not particularly interacted with the website, but they have interacted with the brand, maybe social media, maybe they're following the brand, or they view the videos and the ads, but they haven't actually taken that next step and gone to try and purchase from the brand or actually visit the website. So they're using a budget of $20. This is fine. And usually you want to go slightly lower, because warm retargeting can be quite intensive depending on how much size of an audience do you have. Maybe you have a bigger brand. In this case, this brand has sort of a sizable audience above 20k followers, so a $20 a day budget is a good place to start. And in terms of the actual custom audience, they're targeting a video, right, that is viewed for 3 seconds or longer. So people who have viewed this particular video for longer than 3 seconds are being retargeted. Now, this is a problem because you're not targeting other warm audiences. So usually when it comes to warm retargeting, you want to be targeting people who have interacted with the brand, right? So they follow the brand, right, on Instagram and Facebook, and you want to target those who have interacted with all your videos, usually. And the reason you want to do that is because this would create a large pool of people who you can retarget to with more videos, get them more nurtured about your brand and your offering, and just allow them to go ahead and visit your website and hopefully purchase. But when you just target just one video and you just view for 3 seconds, you're not going to reach these other audiences who haven't viewed the video, but they are following the brand. They are particularly warm, right? So you definitely want to add in extra interests, or not interests, but you want to add in extra audiences here where you can essentially reach out to them and get them down the funnel into your website, where you can retarget them with hot retargeting ads. So that's what you want to do. And we can see here that we have, again, them targeting cities and states in the United States, which is something that I don't recommend because, again, when you're an e-commerce brand, especially if you're jewelry, health, beauty, so on and so forth, you want to be targeting the entirety of the US because you'll be able to ship your product to those locations and there should not be any issues. Obviously, if you're having issues in shipping your product to certain parts of the United States, then you can exclude those regions. But for 99% of brands who are advertising on Meta, they don't need to do this. So in this case, again, I will just set it as broad. And as I mentioned, you want to give Facebook as much freedom as possible in order to do that. So I'll just set this as United States. And in terms of the age, again, this brand has narrowed it down to 18 to 24. And because this is a warm audience, this is less applicable. It's not necessary for you to do that. And in this case, you want to pretty much go 18 to 65. And the reason for that is because with warm retargeting, you're going to be targeting people who have actually interacted with the brand, but they haven't visited the website. So these are lots of people. And when you go ahead and narrow that down, you're only going to reach a fraction of those people for the most part. And again, these could be people that are not inside of your target market, because these could be people who want to buy the product as a gift, or maybe considering doing that, as buying the product as a gift. So you definitely want to reach these people with your targeting. That's why you don't exclude any demographics when you're doing warm retargeting. But there is more of an argument for you to do that with cold retargeting, where you're just targeting people that have never heard of the brand before. So that's what needs to be done with this particular ad set. And we can see here that they're also targeting interests for the warm retargeting. Again, I don't recommend that you do that because you're already targeting interests in the cold campaign, where you're targeting pretty much people who never heard of the brand before. So you definitely don't want to target interests. This conflicts with the other warm audience, which is the video viewers and the people who have engaged with the brand. You don't want to put interest there because now you're just going to be targeting two groups of people, one that is cold and one that is warm. And this is obviously not going to work very well when you're trying to target people in the warm phase, those that have interacted with the brand but they haven't visited the website. So you don't want to be targeting cold audiences in the warm targeting ad set. And in terms of placements, this is good. They're targeting people who are pretty much going to be warm, but they targeted them everywhere. So wherever they go, they'll see the ads multiple times. So this is very good. So there you go, guys. This is essentially how you go about targeting correctly for your Meta ad campaigns. And this should help you to maximize your scalability for both the cold campaigns and for the warm campaigns when it comes to retargeting. I hope you found this video useful, and Make sure to check out this video where you can learn about the different targeting that you can go ahead and implement for your brand specifically, and why I believe it's the best for your brand, and how you can go ahead and implement this for yourself in more detail. So see you there.